You have good lighting. Hi, my name is Inga Cotton, and I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms. And these are Charter Moms Chats. And we've been going live to talk about what families need to know to get their kids a great education in spite of the pandemic and just all the disruptions. It's been a very different school year, and but it's coming to a close. So one of our goals is to feature the voices of teachers, parents, and students talking about their school choice journey. And I'm so grateful that we have a guest today, Stephanie Adams, and we have her guest post on the blog today. And if you click on the description of the video, there's a link to her post on the site. And I really encourage you to read it. And she talks about her school search and her school choice journey. So, and actually she's joining us from an office at Promesa Academy, where her daughter is in kindergarten this year. Is that right? Kindergarten?
Yes, she's in kinder this year.
Okay, great. Okay, so so Stephanie has two kids. So Madeline is 6 and Charlotte is 4. Hi. Oh, you heard your name. Hello. Hello. We get student voice as well, right? And so Charlotte. Yeah. So Charlotte is at pre-K for SA, and
yes, coming up in the fall.
Oh, right, will be. Okay, and then I also want to mention Stephanie is she owns a gluten-free bakery, so it's called Hello Sweet Tea Gluten-Free Sweet Treats, and they're on Facebook, and the stuff looks delicious. So Stephanie, thank you so much for writing a guest post and joining me on Charter Moms Chats to share your parent perspective.
Oh no, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for offering.
Yeah. So I was wondering if you could just talk more about your family. Like, well, I mentioned the ages and names of your kids, but just kind of talk about their strengths, their challenges, and like how that influenced your school search.
Well, my husband and I have been married for since 2009, and we waited a little while to start our family. We waited until we moved to San Antonio, in fact. So once we had Maddie and we kind of got to know Maddie, we realized that she was definitely going to have the need for emotional support more so than educational support. We even tried to do homeschooling and everything like that, and I was not meant to be her educational support. So we learned that fairly early in her life. But her educational support was kind of took second wind to her emotional support that we needed for her. We didn't know what was going on with her, and she doesn't like to kind of like relax enough for us to get in there and figure it all out. So that was definitely a key in finding our schools, and that's what led us initially to pre-K for SA and then on into Promesa.
Oh yeah. So you mentioned in the post that like you found pre-K for SA, and and actually we've profiled pre-K for SA on the site as well. And like there's things like they use the high school curriculum, and
yes.
They do a great job of like teaching the kids how to solve problems amongst themselves, and like that kind of that emotional regulation and like being a good citizen by how you treat your classmates. And but one thing you mentioned is that like once you found pre-K for SA, you're like, that's great. Oh, but they only serve 4 and 5-year-olds.
Yeah, so exactly.
So it's like, okay, we got to do this whole search again. And I guess that's kind of what led you to the SA Charter Moms group, right? Like you had that like an initial question kind of related to pre-K for SA.
Yeah, it was my initial question. I mean, of course, I used it to kind of find pre-K for SA throughout the years. I think I was in it for maybe 2 years before we went into pre-K. But yeah, the initial post that I made was just like, help, I need help. And I was like, I need another high scope curriculum for kindergarten. I didn't know that was only a pre-K curriculum. But that's what led me here, because MVK was like, I have something for you. And then she messaged me that evening, and then we met the next day, and it's basically just been gold since then for us.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things that touched my heart when I was reading your post, was about how as your term, I was like, we work really hard to make like the guide and the app and to like keep, there's this very active group, which, that's my cue. I'm going to pop the link, but the San Antonio Charter Moms discussion group on Facebook, and we're over 7,500 members now. And we try to keep it positive to where it's like the members are helping each other answer questions. And, I want people to feel safe and that they can be vulnerable. Like if they ask a question, but they're making an assumption, then it's like, so that doesn't apply to kindergarten, but, and I like the fact that there are teachers, school principals, superintendents, school founders like Ambika in the group, and they're interacting with parents. Just, it takes away that power distance. Like it's like we're all in there together.
Yeah, no, it allowed us to really have a relationship with our school versus going in and not knowing anything about it. You can go. Sorry, we had a restroom break.
Yeah.
Yep. It really did. Knowing that I could contact multiple people in the group at any given time really helped with it helped with building the trust bond that you really need to have with administrators and even other parents and stuff like that.
I think you mentioned that so like before the pandemic, and we'll bring them back. We're planning maybe by October we'll bring it back. But like the school discovery day or school discovery night. Do you remember which ones you went to? Was it the downtown one? I'm trying to remember where
it was. I think it was off of Commerce Street. It was at the
Mexican American Unity Council.
Yes, thank you. I could not remember. Yeah. I know that it was off of Commerce.
Yeah. No, I remember that one. Actually, Promesa used to have an office in that building before they got their campus running. So and because helped us find that space, and then we had like maybe a dozen different schools from the west side that have different tables there, and so I'm glad you got a chance to talk to people from different schools.
Oh yeah, no, it was really neat to get to meet other people from the schools and find out which schools offered what, and just all of the different visions and mantras and whatnot that they all have.
Yeah. Like I love the online stuff, but I miss having those in-person events, and I'm looking forward to bringing those back. And I'm glad that it was helpful for you. So I guess I've talked to Ambika about this. There's we're all trying to live our lives, raise our kids, choose schools. We're all doing our best, as parents or as teachers. Meanwhile, the pandemic is happening. And so, I guess fortunately you were able to have some in-person meetings, right? Meet with Ambika. And then I guess there's a member of her team. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on it. Let's see. Well, I guess can you tell me more about the in-person meeting you got to have with Ambika?
Oh yeah. So that evening that I made the post on the Charter Moms group, Ambika reached out through Facebook on Messenger with me and stuff like that. And we talked for a little bit, and then we agreed to meet that next morning. And she and Mary, who is our curriculum support, drove all the way to the east side to Pre-K 4SA and met me in the Pre-K in the parent cafe that next morning, and went over everything as far as the pillars that the school's built on and their vision. And I think they even brought me blueprints for the school. There was a lot of things that they brought me, and it immediately eased my mind to where I had no questions or anything after that. I think I applied that evening, before I got home.
Aw. That's sweet.
But yeah, no, Miss Mary, that was one of her first in-person meetings that she had gotten to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it sounds like it, having that level of interaction, in the group and in person, and it gave you a confidence level about what it would be like to go to the school, right? Which is hard if it's Promesa, they didn't have their campus up and running yet, right? You couldn't do a school tour yet, but hey, she brought blueprints, right?
Yeah, no, it was awesome because it showed that not only did she have enough vision to know that we would want to see that, but enough trust that it was going to be there and it was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I want to touch on you raised some really good or you share some really good insights in your blog post about how your own school search worked, and so for example, you talked about wanting what kind of school you envisioned for your kids. You wanted a school that would cater to their whole being, and a place where our children could be themselves. And so I was wondering if you could sort of tell more about that, what you had in mind, and what things you were looking for when you were researching schools.
Okay, yeah. So when I say I wanted a school to cater to their whole being, I wanted to make sure that they were sorry, that the school was using a form of conscious discipline to where it wasn't chastised, or the child wasn't chastised, but they were, given options on how to correct their behavior and stuff like that, and not use corporal punishments or anything like that, because they're children and they have to learn. And we don't get corporal punishments at work, so it's our our children shouldn't either at school and stuff like that. And then I really
Have you noticed I don't have any shoe on?
stop it. Sorry. And then I wanted to make sure that they were allowed to really explore their personalities at the school and not be held in such a constraint of A plus A, or it's not black and white. There's a little bit of gray with every child. So I wanted to make sure that Maddie could explore, and even Charlotte, when she comes into school, I wanted her to be able to explore, and if she needs to make changes to her personality or to her life, that the school would be able to help me with that. It's a school is supposed to be it's not a school isn't just a building. It's meant to be a team with the parent, and that's what we were looking for.
It's really doing
Okay, go with her.
I forgot I was muted. It's like you said, that it's it's meant to be a team. Like, I think that's a really good way to look at it, right? It's not just a building. You said it's a partnership between the school and the parent. I think that's really important. So in the post you talk about, there were some sort of the practical constraints on your school search. So y'all actually live on the northeast side, but and so you started looking at schools in that area, but you wound up expanding your search. And I know Promesa is actually located just west of downtown. So
It is, yeah.
you talk about like how that played
I
out.
have a 30-minute drive in the morning and the evening. So I drive about 2 hours every day, I think.
Yeah. So, and I guess, like, I know there are charter schools in your part of town, but some of them are like part of larger charter networks, right? Like, so like there's Idea and Great Hearts and Basis in your part of town, but like Promesa is just, at this point, it's just a single campus, right?
It is. It's just a single campus, and that was something that I really looked into. I looked into all of the larger charters, like Basis, especially since Basis built or bought the building just right down the road from my house. I live in the neighborhood behind Judson behind Idea Judson. I like literally if I got on my roof, I could probably see the brand new SST building. So there's a lot of them, and especially like Great Hearts is building out that way and stuff like that. There's a lot of really good charters. But when I looked into their curriculums and like the way their classes were run and stuff like that, it just didn't meet my family's needs, because they're all amazing charters, and we know that because there are multiple ones and they're older. Because in the state of Texas, if they don't perform, you can lose your charter. So I know that they're good schools and that they're providing for their families and stuff like that. We just needed something on a different emotional level, because the educational, I think it was all of them had phenomenal educational and testing scores and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you make a really. I'll read things like like critics of. Well, there's there's A and B rated schools in your part of town, so what's the problem? But that's missing the point, which is that I think of just like the whole range of charter schools. Like this school year has been like, our team has really dove in and like written enrollment guides and had guest posts to represent like just the whole range of charter schools in San Antonio. And it's just it astonishes me every day just how different some of these schools are from each other. And it can make it harder to zero in on the right school. But what it also means is, like, just because that's an A school or that's a B school and it's just around the corner from your house, that doesn't mean it's the right fit. And we need to trust parents, to say, yes, this is what I'm looking for. I know my child, right? Like, I know that she's going to need this extra support, to be able to function in the classroom, relate to her classmates, reach her potential. And this is where I want to go.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, like in the traditional ISDs, we would be in a school that's not necessarily rated the greatest, but some people like it and some people don't. And it's really close to my house, but it wouldn't fit my family's needs. So that's one of the reasons we went ahead and went into a charter, because we wouldn't be allowed to go into a choice school necessarily until later on, and all these other fun little red blocks that we have to get over. So we decided pretty quickly that we were going to do a charter, and started looking solely at the charters once we knew where we were living in San Antonio.
Yeah. Well, I'm really grateful for school choice, because I live in a neighborhood with highly rated schools, but it wasn't the right model for my kids. And I'm actually looking at making a change between middle school and high school for my son, because like as kids grow and you find out more what their personalities are like and what their interests are like, sometimes it changes. But thank goodness we have school choice, and we can put our kids in the school that's the right fit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're really lucky. Our local legislation really, really likes school choice too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So are there things about Promesa that you especially like? And well, while you talk about it, I'm going to pop the URL up on the screen, give people.
Yeah, no. So one of the things that really drew us to Promesa was just the fact that we had such good communication. The communication that we get out of Promesa with Miss Ambika and Mary and Cassandra and even Miss Esme and our teachers, everybody, is unheard of. I've never received communication like this from any school or even a workforce that I've worked with or anything like that. The communication here is beyond anything that we've ever seen. And then we really like that the subject, that our teachers are all subject experts, because having one class all day with one teacher and one person having to teach every single subject, especially if you have a passion for like art and literacy or something like that, having to teach science and math is kind of a bummer, and you don't really want to do it. So, you could slack off a little bit, and everybody's going to miss out on that one little thing that they might need to know in 2 years that doesn't necessarily, you don't get it. And if your teacher doesn't like it, there's a high chance that you're not going to like it, because it's going to not be fun learning. Like me and math. But yeah, so I really liked that there was that. And then we had the choice for, we had the choice to come into the school year with virtual or, we all were virtual, but then pretty quickly into the school year, we had the choice to become virtual or in person. And I really appreciated that Promesa really understood that we all had our little withdrawals, and held our feelings were kind of being messed around with and stuff like that. And they really respected that. Some people just weren't. Oh, sorry.
Like we all had.
I don't know what happened there. I just kind of went funny.
Oh.
Again, I really liked that they respected our stories.
Yeah, I think every family has their own comfort level, and being understanding of that. When did y'all choose to go back on campus?
Yeah, so we went back in campus. We came back the Monday that spring break ended. So we had our spring break, our last little hurrah at home, and then we came back to on campus. And honestly, we kind of regret not doing it earlier. At this point, we really wanted to make sure that our family was safe, especially with my health issues and stuff like that. But she has grown so much just from being on campus that it's crazy.
No, I'm hearing that. I hear that from a lot of families. That, but yeah, it's a safety decision. Every family has to find their own comfort level. But but I think, and a year ago we were all really worried, and we didn't have data about how safe it was to have children in schools during the pandemic. I think we have more data now. I think the schools know, what procedures they need to do to keep kids safe. And, there's a lot more adults who are vaccinated, a lot of teachers who are vaccinated, and it's a different situation. And so then especially young children can get that benefit of the in-person learning.
Exactly. Yeah. No, my husband was able to receive a vaccination pretty early in the year. And that really helped us make that final little decision of, yes, we wanted her to have a semi-typical kindergarten experience.
Yeah.
As typical as a COVID year can be.
So one thing I want to ask you about your experience at Promesa is, so you're a founding family and you're part of the Family Advisory Council at Promesa. So if you talk about, like, what are some examples of what you do with you and your fellow caregivers who are on the Family Advisory Council?
So with our Family Advisory Council, I think we have up to 13 families really active right now. There might be more. I might have miscounted or something like that along the line. But we have really been able to build a community, even though we were virtual for the most part. Like with this last semester, for the fall semester, we were able to do little online events every once in a while and do our meetings. We did it fully on Zoom until probably the last 2 weeks, or within the last month is when we've had our first in-person meeting. But we were able to, with all of us being virtual and stuff like that, we were still able to pull together a community. And like at Christmas time, we were able to do what we called the Promesa Tree, where we knew that it was going to be a hard year for a lot of families. And we were able to go through and have family come in and choose whether, to apply to be on the Promesa. Sorry, I don't know why that keeps happening.
It's okay. The connection, we just lost audio for just a little bit. I heard you talk about the Promesa Tree, and like families could apply to be on the Promesa Tree, and then, like, other families could, pick and give.
Exactly. So we did it completely anonymously. The families were able to apply and get put on the list. And then we did like a Sign Up Genius style thing with with Lilia. She's our co-lead, one of my co-leaders, and she set up the Sign Up Genius and everything like that. And everything was done to where it was just like a number. And then a family that had a family that had 3 children, it was, there was child 1, 2, and 3 underneath that one number. And we came in and everything was wrapped and delivered, and there wasn't a single family that was left out or anything like that. So all of our families had at least 3 gifts per child. And it really was a cool moment to see how, a community came in the middle of a pandemic to make sure that the kids at the school really had what they needed to have a good holiday season.
Yeah, that's really heartwarming. And
then we also did
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us about the additional activity with the Family Advisory Council. Stephanie, can you hear me?
I think you might have to repeat that question.
That's okay. That's okay. No, I interrupted you.
I can now. Yes.
You were about to talk about another activity that the Family Advisory Council did. Sorry, but I interrupted you.
Oh, no, it's fine. We also did a clothing drive, like a winter coat drive, at the beginning or at the end of the last semester. And it ended up being rather successful. We have quite a large closet going on now, and our counselors took over and organized it and got it all running and stuff like that. So it's really neat to see how little things that the FAC and the school are putting together to get, and we're able to really build that community that we need.
Yeah, and it's amazing that, at the beginning of the year, everything was virtual, right? And you were having virtual meetings, and yet it's still everyone came together and, to build a community.
Yeah, and with our FAC, we're not really planning any type of breaks throughout the year. So we'll continue, especially with our new families coming in. We'll send out an email probably within the next 2 months or within the next month probably, and start inviting them to our meetings and start planning for the next year. Since this was our first year, we didn't really know exactly what we were supposed to do or how we were supposed to go about it. So it took us a hot minute to get everything going. But I feel now that we're rolling now.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's really exciting. Yeah. Well, do you have advice for families who, I know this time of year, I guess, hopefully some families have already found their spot for the fall, but some families might still be thinking this through, or, and then this is going to stay on the site. I'm going to reshare this in the fall, when the enrollment season kind of picks up again. But so what are some of your words of advice for families who are doing their own school search?
You really have to trust your gut. You know what's best for your family, and no one else does, because no one else is a part of that. You really, have your list of questions, and don't be afraid to ask them, because that's what the schools want you to do, because they want you to feel completely 100% confident that their school is the right school as well.
Yeah. In the post you mentioned how your friends have kids in all different settings, like homeschool, private school, like Brooks Collegiate Academy. It's like a whole range of options, and and it's beautiful that there's so many choices, and and it's you said that they're always ready to talk things through.
We are, yeah. No, we're able to really bounce things off of each other, like, hey, this school's doing this. What about yours, and stuff like that. Especially this last year throughout virtual, our virtual was a lot more than a lot of other people's. We actually had classes with all of our teachers, and Zoom meetings for every single day and stuff like that. Whereas like my kids' cousins, my nieces and nephews literally got YouTube videos sent to them for their virtual. And then, thank you. and then other schools have, a long 3-hour one Zoom meeting. It's just really neat to see how everything was so different, but it worked for each of, for multiple people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm just so grateful for the guest post, because it you did such a great job sharing your story, and I think anybody reading it would understand why having school choice is important. That you were able to find a school that's a great fit for your daughter, and I'm really proud that SA Turner Moms was able to play a role in that, through like the online group and through the events, and through creating that access to the school founders, so that they could communicate and build those relationships.
No, I'm extremely grateful for the group, because otherwise we wouldn't have met or any of the other ones here that we've gotten to really to get to know. We've become, they've become part of our family because we see them so much.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pop the link up for Promesa, since we've been talking so much about it. Maybe some of the families listening are like, what is this Promesa? How do I apply? So it's promesaacademy.org/apply, and next year they'll have kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and third grade, right? So they keep adding till every year, and I guess the plan is to grow at least through 8th grade, right?
Yes, at least through 8th is what I've heard.
Yeah. And I can hardly wait to see the campus. I haven't, I only recently got both doses of vaccine, so I've been missing out on my school tours. I love school tours. And so I can hardly wait. And I've seen pictures of this beautiful courtyard, and how much open space the kids have, and outdoor play, and it just looks super fun.
The campus is beautiful. It has these huge windows, and there's so much natural light everywhere. And it really is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, hey, is Maddie nearby? Can she say hi to kind of close us out?
She is evidently, she's playing in the office with Legos now. That was my note.
Oh, yeah, Legos are irresistible. In fact, I have a box. Wait. These are my fidgets here. So yeah, I will. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you have any kind of closing thoughts? Any thoughts to close us out?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was trying to understand what was going on. No, I really wanted to make sure that people, that families know that when you're looking for a school, you're looking for something that's going to come into your life, and it's meant to be better for you. It's not meant to put any type of stress onto you. It's not meant to add anything that is negative to your life. It's supposed to be an educational support for your family. And luckily, we found not only our educational support, but our emotional supports. And it works for us. And I just want families to know that, they're out there that are designed to help each other and to build on to what is already there with your child instead of, there a lot of charter schools and a lot of schools in general, they don't want our kids to be numbers. And that was really important to me, was that Maddie isn't a number. She's a person. She's live, she's a live wire, but she's a person.
Yeah.
To reiterate what your family needs, what your child needs more than anybody else. So you have to really trust your gut when you go out there.
Yeah. Well, that's on that note, trust your gut. I think that's a really good summary of what the school search experience is like. And thank you for sharing your school search story on the blog and on Charter Moms Chats. And I look forward to seeing you again. Maybe I can come visit like a family advisory council event or something like that. Something to look forward to.
Yeah,
So, okay, well,
I heard you say something about the Family Advisory Council, but I didn't.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I'd love to visit in a meeting sometime, maybe next year.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely, we can figure out something for sure.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me. And I'll sign off now, and I look forward to seeing you.